Borada, good morning. Welcome back to the Rhondda Valleys. I am back on the mountain of Penpich, here in Blaencwm, at the head of the Rhondda Valleys. No real plan today. It's a sort of a beautiful day. The sun was promised to come out. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun has only just been up for a couple of minutes. And it's been raining all week, and on the 2 days where it was nice, I had to stay in for a delivery. So I have a food delivery coming at 4 o'clock, so I can't be out for too long. But I thought I'd just come for a little stroll with no plan, just a meander through the woods. Quite a few cars in the car park already, probably out with their dogs. I did see an Instagram post that somebody was on the top of Penpich yesterday having a sunrise breakfast, which I suppose, thinking about it now, the winter is probably the best time to do it because you don't have to get up there until about 8 o'clock. So, yeah. Maybe the winter's the best time to see the sunrise coming over the valley, because in the summer I would imagine you've got to be up there by at least 3 o'clock in the morning. That's put a bit of thought into my brain. It's nice to get out and smell the fresh air and just listen to the silence that is Wales. Beautiful. Trying to find where the path is, because the one that I thought was here has overgrown in the last 20 or 30 years that I've been here. So we are going on an explore. That looks like a path up there. I was just thinking to myself, maybe all those cars are for the dippers. There is a group that come for a dip in these streams, and maybe it is them. Although I've just seen somebody with a camera. See, there's a lot of people out. Look at all that moss on that tree. Isn't that gorgeous? Right, gotta take it gentle now up here because of all this rain. I will get a stick in time. I know a lot of people have mentioned it, but this does seem to be a very old path, but it's not the one that I thought of. Right, I can see somebody on the top path there, so I'm going to go and try and shimmy up the side like a little pygmy goat. So I did it, I'm up. But I was trying to find that path where my cousin and I planted those daffodils, and it's down there somewhere. Thing is, when you see paths like this, it's very enticing. Look at this here. It's just calling me. go and have a look. I can't wait for spring to show you when everything starts coming back into bud. Just look at the moss. Gives it that Celtic feel. See, there's loads of little windy paths. There's one there that goes down if you've got sturdy boots on. And this isn't the one that we planted the daffodils on. It's more below. But it's these quiet spots that you find. You sort of think, oh, hello. What's this here? This is a bit interesting, isn't it? Look at this. Things you find in the woods. Just looking inside the hole there, and there is one of these geocaches. So that is obviously an indication for people who are doing this geocache thing. Shall we have a look? There you go. So you end up with a box, and in here should be, well, who thought we would find this today? Things you find when you aren't even trying to find them. So inside is a piece of paper, and the last time somebody found this was October 2023. No, there was another one there, which is January the 1st. No, January the 7th, 2024. Who knew that? Right, I'll put that back. I'll pop it back in its hole. It is a bit of a dangerous place to put that there, especially if kids are going to come and find it, because you could slip on this moss. But I was going to say, before we got disrupted by that, what a beautiful place to come and put a picnic. Have a little picnic in the quiet of the trees here. Yeah, so the path that I'm trying to find is the one down there somewhere. Right, let us go back up to the main path and away from strange hands sticking out of the soil. Well, I must say that was quite unnerving for a moment there, especially when somebody told me the other day that a man went for a walk. He'd lived in this area for all his life, and he went for a walk, I think last year, and he never came home. So they presuming that he's lost on the woods, that he died in the woods. And when you see things like that, for a second, it makes you shudder. Oh. Right, here's another crossroads in life. Now you'll remember this from the last time we came up here, and last time I went to the right. We went up to the bottom of the waterfall. But today I'm going to take it to the left, which is a new adventure for me. This wasn't here last time I was around. But I can see the path down there in the woods. It's calling me. Here we are. Here are the daffodils. And it used to connect up with a path not too far away. So maybe I'll back on myself a bit. The sun is starting to come out now. I think it might be a semi-warm day. Just look how picturesque this is. Windy path in the woods. Will it lead to a gingerbread house? So that path there leads up to the right, but I'm more interested in this little one here. But just before I do go down it, just have a look at that view back down where I've just walked. You could swear you're in Sweden. Right, not that I've ever been to Sweden, but that's what I would imagine it looks like. So let's have a little stroll down here. Let's take it slow and take it steady, because even though it looks like a path, it could actually be a dried up stream. But I'm pretty certain this is a path. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay, I'm starting to think maybe it is a stream, because that tree has come down. Right, one thing when you are walking in the forestry is to know when it is time to turn back. So I'm actually going to turn back here, because even though it looks like a path, smells like a path, it could not be. And that's not the type of adventure I would like today. I want a nice easy one. So I will go back up and rejoin the designated path, and the search for the daffodils will be put off for another day. I'm just thinking maybe I should just wait until the spring, because if they're still there, I'll be able to see them through the canopy waving at me. Sean, over here. So, right, that's not today's adventure. Let's go back up onto something decent. So that's the straight up if you want the waterfall, which we've been to. But today we're going straight down to the left. I've just seen a man with a tripod. I said, what's going on? Is there an event on? Because he's about the third person I've seen with a tripod this morning. He said, no, just all out as independent photographers. Now, he'll be interesting to see what the lay of the land is down here. Because last time, like I said, 30 years ago, it was just a sheep trail. And if it was heavy rain, you couldn't get there because the bank would wash itself away. But I'm thinking, I've got a feeling they might have improved it. But the water is certainly high today. I can hear it before I've even seen it. My Wellington boots, my climbing boots, are in the post. So hopefully by the end of next week, because I think I could be needing them pretty soon. Look at that stream there. See, if you ever get a bit tired and you want something to drink, drink from a stream. But as my cousin used to say, she didn't like that idea of drinking from a stream, because she said you never know, a sheep might have died further up the mountain. But life is full of risks, isn't it? There'll be a risk now trying to get here without falling on my ass. There is a field to the left, you will see, but that is a private field, because there's a farm down by the side of the water. Just imagine having this on your doorstep. Like, I know it's on my doorstep, but for them, this is their sort of back garden. Well, there it is. That's what I've just come through. That was a task and a half. I'll certainly get strong legs after this walk. I've had to take my hat off. Getting quite warm. Look at that picture there. Beautiful. But the journey continues. But the sound of the water is getting closer. So this is where I think the landslide was the last time I was here. And I don't know if you can hear it yet, but that water is sounding very busy, as they say. Oh, look at this. There's like a fence. Oh, what's this about? Is that a gate to try and stop people? Alright, it still looks as rickety as when I remember it. But I can see there's a new bridge there that wasn't here last time. Right, I will meet you a bit closer because I need to concentrate on where I'm putting my feet. If you can hear me over the water, just look at this wall of damp moss where the rain is slowly seeping out. There were many happy memories spent here with my cousin and bringing the dog up. But this bridge wasn't here the last time. You had to jump over a wooden bridge which then fell apart in time. So it's nice to be back here. And this is an area called Fairy Pools. And I'll tell you for why in a moment. I'll take you up there. And I've spoken to a few of the local walkers and nobody seems to know what I'm about to say. If you go to the left and go through all the brambles down there, which have now taken over and trees are falling down there, around the corner, is a hidden waterfall that I know as Fairy Falls. Now I'm not going to go there today because I will need to have a, like a stick and a secateurs to try and cut back some of the brambles. But let us go up and have a look at what they call fairy pools. Look at this here. I've only just realised the significance of a plank of wood on this bridge. And I just saw one of the locals and he went across with his dog. And I thought, oh, that's good. The bit of wood is for the dogs to walk across. He was saying to me how this mountain has become very busy since the lockdowns. And he said sometimes he goes for a walk in the village to get a bit of peace and quiet because there's so many people here. But just look at these stones. Now that's the path, that is. Look at that. So right up there is the start of the stream, which is where I took you last week. So as the water comes down the mountain, it ends up down here. And in this section here, there's a bit of a pool. And you can come up here and see people swimming. So maybe when it gets a bit warmer, I will come and do the same as well. But it's just glorious to have this on the doorstep. I'm sure if the authorities found out, they would try to tax it somehow. They'd probably put an attendant here. You'd have to pay to go in. But that is what is so nice. It's wild. If you've got the urge to go for a swim in very cold water, you can come and do it. If you've got any stresses, just come and stand here. You can feel the world just drifting over your shoulders. I've always been intrigued that there appears to be railway tracks coming out of the mountain, and they've always been there. So I wonder if this was a sort of station for the coal board. The drams of coal used to come down here. Not sure. What I am sure of now is I am going up the stone staircase next. Look how beautiful. Now some might be fooled in thinking that this is actually a stream, but it's not. This is the official path, or the official path as far as nature is concerned. But yes, you certainly develop strong legs in the valleys. I remember walking this part here, and all of a sudden the urge took me, the forest pulled me in, and I went for a walk up there, and I was heading for the waterfall, and it was raining, and I got soaked, and I got so soaked that I started to warm up. That's how soaked I was. And as I climbed up to the top, my fingers were holding on, and I heaved myself up. And as I did, I didn't know there was a small little pond, and in the pond was a heron. And as I pulled myself up, we startled each other, and the heron put out its wings, and I'd say they were at least 6 foot on each side, and it was massive, a glorious sight to see. Unfortunately, my camera was in the bag at the time, so I couldn't film it. And that's what you must do sometimes. As much as I like to make these videos, I'm not going to film every single walk that I do on the mountains. Sometimes I'll just come out for a bit of peace and quiet. But I will show you all the walks at least 4 times. Spring, summer, autumn and winter. But it is glorious to be back here, and I do agree with somebody that said you will get to the point where you'll think, why didn't you make the move sooner? But in life you do things when the right time comes, and that's what that is what's happened to me. Okay, the last 5 years you could say I've just meandered through life, but I'm here now, better late than never, and I can enjoy what time I've got left roaming the mountains like a little Welsh sheep. So down there is the start of what I know as Fairy Falls, the waterfall that not a lot of people seem to be aware of. It is so much of a secret. But as we follow the river, it then brings us to a new bridge. Again, this bridge wasn't here the last time that I was here. That guy that I spoke to said he remembers when there were no bridges at all. Look at the size on that rock there. I don't plan in doing a long walk today. This is just a quick stroll out to the woods, to the mountains. So when we get up this very steep hill, the view, I'm hoping the view is as spectacular as I remember it 30 years ago. Look at that bit of sun there, calling you to fairyland. I was just using the branches of the tree to pull myself up to the green field, as we call it, and I've just happened to look to the right of me. Look at this view. What an absolutely glorious sight of the waterfall in full flow. When you climb the mountain and you need to grab hold of things, grab them gently. Don't yank. Just gentle, and go on to the next one. Just hold that. Gently pull you up. Don't yank. Have respect for the countryside. And as Trigger said in Only Fools and Horses, look after the countryside. And then we get to the top of the green field. Nice to see the dry stone wall. And then we look back at the view of the village. Looking wonderful in the sunshine down there. I was once involved in a project called the Treherbert Forum, and one of the people on the committee owned this field. And there were serious discussions about putting ostriches onto this field and to farm the ostriches for the meat, because apparently back in the 90s it was a big thing, and it never happened because we didn't agree with it, but that was one of the proposals that was put forward. Could you just imagine walking through the Welsh countryside and you see a field of ostriches? I much prefer to see the horses there myself anyway. But let us carry on. So like I said, this is a bit of a short walk, nothing too major today. Beautiful, peace and quiet. Sound of the mountain streams. Birds are quite quiet, maybe they're on their lunch. And even the distant roar of a motorbike. Those are the sounds of my youth. Sometimes you just need to stop and just observe the peace and quiet. Wonderful. Even if you can't see the streams, you can just hear them. Now we're coming up to a part that my cousin always used to refer to as the Dingle Dells. If I was late for a walk, she'd say, "We'll meet up by the Dingle Dells and I'll bring some sandwiches." And this is where she meant. It's nice to see that even though the landscape has changed in 30 years, a lot of it is still the same. This is another spot here, good for a picnic on the large stone. I remember when all this was clear, there weren't any trees here. In the summer, in the spring maybe, that's what I'll do. Look, here it is. This is the place to come and have a sit down. See, there's like a little seat there. You just sit and have your sandwiches. I know I keep going on about it, but just listen to it. And in the autumn, we'll come back up here, because this used to be, and I can tell the plants are still here, this used to be a very good spot for windberry picking. Now we call them in Wales windberries, windberry, and in other parts of the country they're called something else, but they look a bit like a blueberry, and the mountains in August are covered with them. That's the time when people used to refer to as purple mouth season, because you'd see the kids coming off the mountain with their mouths covered in purple from eating the windberries. So I will be up and I'll make some windberry jam and some windberry pies. Looks like there's been a storm through this part. And looking at the trunks, it looks like it's a fairly recent storm. The forestry are quite good in coming up, and if there's a tree that's come down, they will cut it so that people can still carry on their day. But I can see there's one or two there that are just snapped. So maybe, look at this one here. This is completely out of the ground. But that's what life is. A bit like people. We die, we go back into the soil in order to feed the next generation. Yes, that's a fairly new one, I would have said, in the last month or two. Because the soil looks very fresh down there. So there's one, plus there's this one by the side of it as well. And one over here. In fact, there are quite a few down. Would have been a night of destruction up here. Yes, there's quite a few. But this is nature realigning itself for the next 50 years. Now, is that going to block the path though? That is the question, because these look as if they're fairly new ones to have come down. Beautiful to feel the sun. In the summer, when it's dry and a lot easier to walk on, this is one of the walks I would like to do at midnight. Haven't really experienced this mountain in the dark. Been up here as evening has drawn in and the sun has set, but I haven't been here sort of at 12 o'clock. And as long as I stick to the main paths, I'll be okay. But it must be glorious just to come up sit with a cup of tea and then just enjoy the owls, because I can hear them when I'm in bed. This is an interesting spot here. Now this path is called the incline, and this is where there were train tracks for the coal to come off the mountain, and you can see it's virtually a straight line, and it comes up and it continues and it goes all the way up there, and up there is a small little, well, it was a sort of shack, a little hut where the men used to be in order to send down the drams from the colliery. And the building is still there. It was still standing the last time I went up there, but I think the top had come off and some of the walls had come down. But I'm not going to go there today. And then down here is another path which then takes us down to another stream, and it's down there that the Acer palmatum grandiflora is planted. We met the family once, and they said that their grandparents had died and that they wanted to come and throw the ashes, so they came up here and they went down to the little dingle dell down there and they scattered the ashes. And back in those days, people just used to scatter the ashes and that was it. But they thought they would mark the spot by planting an Acer palmatum grandiflora, a beautiful red maple. And if you come up at the right time, and you can't see it from the main path, you have to just go and sneak around. And then it's there in all its glory, and we've watched it over the years get bigger and bigger. And I much prefer that method than what a lot of people do now, is because they tell me there's a spot up on top of the Ricos where they go and throw the ashes, and they've done that for years. I remember going up there. But what they do now is they go one step further and they put in memorials on the side of the road, and somebody said up there it's absolutely chock-a-block of small crosses. So I've got mixed thoughts about it. Surely that's what cemeteries are for. I would imagine quite a few men died on this path here when they were putting in the coal mine and putting down the track. So I'm 50-50 on this debate of public displays. What do you think? Tell me below. Now, we're at this point then where I've got to think, am I going up to see the little stone hut? Am I going home down this way? Or am I in the mood just to go a little bit further and go and see the pond? What do you think I should do? Let's just go down and have a look at this little pond. You can imagine that scene on a misty morning, can't you? Yeah, this is where we used to come with the dog. Dip down from the incline and meet you down by the pool. Because over the years, my cousin and I, and some of the residents, see, now I can hear a motorcycle, and as long as it's not too much, I don't mind hearing it in the background there. Obviously it would be better without it, but as long as it doesn't go on for too long, then it doesn't spoil the journey. So, like what I was saying, yes, a few of the locals, my cousin and I, got involved. We would dam the river here to make it a nice place to come and have a dip, get your summer costume out. It seems a lot steeper than what I thought of. We're just going down here. Well, that looks a bit out of place there. I wonder if they are daffodils. I don't think they are. Okay, that's something to put in the book to come back and check them out in a few months. We're nearly there, but yes, this slope is a lot steeper than I thought, so I think I'll meet you down at the bottom, hopefully on 2 feet. So far, so good. I must say, this area has completely changed. This is what is so good about making these videos. Like I said, I've been making these videos since the 80s, and this area has completely changed. There was a huge sort of pool here, and all this was just one big expanse of water, but now it's all changed. But at least I've got the videos to have a look back on. Back in our day, this used to be a place you would go to, like a destination. Let's go up to the pool for the day, they'd say. But now it doesn't look anything like it, which is a shame. But we've got the videos. I'm tempted to go up here, because this is where the Acer palmatum grandiflora is. I know I keep saying about this in videos, and hopefully I'll be able to show you one day. I would imagine 30 years on, it is quite massive. So this is off the track. Unless you're coming up here to look at it, there's no reason why you would come up here. So I wonder if the path is still passable. There's some trees down, I see, and there are some rhododendrons here. You can see how high the water does get. Look at that. Another tree down. Certainly get, oops, I just slipped then. Let me just get my leg over. I just slipped. Oh, nothing better than the smell of the forest on your hands though. But look at all this. This is a sign that the water gets quite high here. I don't think it's up this far. I thought we would have been there by now. There's another tree down. Hopefully we can still find it, and that it's not covered by all the other trees, because I think it was over there on the other side of the bank. Obviously you'll see nothing but twigs now. Unless it's so big that we're actually walking underneath it. So it used to be here somewhere. So we'll come back in the summer, and obviously it'll be a lot easier to find it. But yes, quite a few trees have come down in the storms that we've had. Yes, I'm pretty sure it was on that side. In fact, I think I can just about see it. This is the problem, the forest pulls you in. You see a corner and you think, let me just walk to that corner, and then before you know it, you're in the heart of the forest. Right, that's the end of the journey, I think. There's far too many trees down. Well, when I left the house this morning, I didn't know where I was going. I didn't think I would be here. That's what's so good about the mountains. Go out for a stroll and you go on an adventure. And if you want an adventure, and I will tell you in a few weeks' time, that beneath my feet here, hello, you coming for a journey? beneath my feet here, I don't know how many feet down, but there is a tunnel, and this tunnel takes you all the way through the mountainside here to the next village, which is about a mile away, mile and a half away, called Blaengwynfi. And in this tunnel trains used to go. It was called the Swansea Bay and Rhondda train line. And there's a local group here who are trying to get the tunnel open, and I will have a word to see if I can get them on to explain. And what is interesting, I don't know if you can see that at the top of the mountain there are 3 trees, and those trees have always been there, and they are there for a very special reason, because you find the trees and halfway down the mountain there is a vent. And they tell me that on a frosty morning you could see smoke coming out of this vent. And the vent came from the tunnel. So when the steam train used to go through, the steam used to come up, and obviously it had to get out of the tunnel, and it would come out halfway up the mountain here. And this local group want to try and reopen it, but it's going to cost millions. But they are doing very well so far, and you can't even see the tunnel where it starts now because it got covered over, I think, in the 60s. The reason why it closed was because a survey said that it wasn't in good health, but it was also around the time of Dr. Beechin, when he was closing railway lines. And it's a bit unfortunate, but so I think we're going to go this way and we're going to slowly head home. It's a bit unfortunate because from Treherbert you could go to the next valley, the Avon Valley, and onto Swansea, I think, and it would only take you about an hour to get there, like 45 minutes, to an hour to get there. But now if you want to get there, you have to go down the mountain, down to the bulk, then drive over the top, and then drive back down, and it can take you like an hour and a half. So that's why there are lots of families in this area whose family started over in the other valley. And when they closed it, they put on a rail replacement bus. But a lot of people didn't think it was safe, because going over these mountains in the depth of winter, and my cousin would say sometimes you would feel the bus was going to go over the side of the mountain. So people stopped going on it, and then that was the excuse that they needed in order to close down the railway. But it's still there. It's hard to fathom that below this ground there is a massive tunnel. I think it is possibly the second longest tunnel in the world, and it's here beneath our feet. And when they started to build the tunnel in the 1880s, I think it was, the people on Treherbert started on this side, the people on the other side started there, and they met in the middle. And apparently, even without the technology of today, they were only about 2 inches out. And that is why in the middle of the mountain there is a dome where they connected the 2 tunnels together. And they tell me that the dome is as big as St. Paul's Cathedral. And there's a plan to open this up and have cycle routes to go through, and maybe a cafe in the middle and an exhibition on each side as you drive. Loads of stuff. But I'll try and get one of the organisers to come on the video in a few weeks and to explain about all the exciting things that are going on here. So I've just come out of the forestry now. We're passing the horses' field. Somebody's put a greenhouse there. That's a bit risky, I would think, in the wind. I think I know the people that have that bit of land there. But look at this, all this is new, unfortunately. Houses. If they keep building houses, then where are these people going to go to use the doctors and the, because they're building houses, but they're not building villages. Anyway, that's not today's video. Well, I enjoyed that. Nice invigorating walk in the morning. That is what I would call a nice little stroll around the mountain. Unbelievable that they've built these houses here though, because this is where the path is going to go for the cycle people. Imagine you've just bought a house and all of a sudden you're going to get hundreds of people, or even thousands if it takes off, walking past your window. Maybe there's been an update to this plan that I'm not aware of. I'll have to have a chat to somebody. But an amazing place to have a house though. Just imagine being surrounded by all this beauty. Problem is now, for me to get home, the path used to go straight on. But now I can't. And it looks like I can't go to the left because they're taking up. But, who would want to have a house next to a river that is as fierce as that one? So that's the mountain where the tunnel is beneath. And see the 3 trees on top? Look straight down, and then on the ground you will find a manhole cover. And below the manhole cover is the entrance. That's a nice little place, that is, to have a little small hold in, I must say. Very impressed by that. But now, how am I going to get out? Ah, there it is. Look at that, the bus is waiting for me. So there it is. We have walked mountain and vale and thoroughly enjoyed it. But I can see the bus is here. And even though I only live about a mile and a half down the valley, I'm going to catch it. So thank you for joining me on this quick little stroll around the mountains of Blancombe. I'm going to go home, have a nice cup of tea now, and I'll catch up with you next time. So from me until then, bye for now.